I'd be very willing to be interviewed.
Good evening. Welcome to Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic.
We'll make it happen.
I'm Christopher Luna, the founder of the event. I typically co-host this with my wife and partner in Truth and Beauty, Toni Partington. She is a bit under the weather tonight, but wanted me to extend my well wishes to all of you, and we hope she feels better soon. I like to sometimes begin the readings with a poem by someone else just to get one out into the air. And I thought that tonight I would read a poem by the person that'll be our feature next month if you're able to join us on Thursday, December 14th. Her name is Jamie Houghton. And she has a poetry chapbook, a recent poetry chapbook called Burn, Sight, and Bloom. And this is a poem by Jamie called The Mower to the Glowworms, after Andrew Marvell. Think of it as just a haircut through your heart, which is your whole body glowing, because that's what a pulse does, and your heart is electric. Think of your heart as mud struck by lightning in the womb, somewhere you cannot dive for or become small enough to see. Think of it as a slight shock combing up your spine or your skin, changing like the surface of water. Think of it as division. Think of me as a witness. Think of it as division. Think of me as a witness. Think of clinging to the rain or pouring down the grate. Think of it as the last whisper before being extinguished. Think of it as sinking just to rest in the dark, wet. Think of it as a buffet, and you are sunlight's last snack. Think of the shining blades as music. Think of your tailbone as a mouse. And you will be fed to the peonies, and the dogs and the dawn. Think of me as next. That's Jamie Houghton. She'll be here next month. Okay, do I have anything that I need to tell you before we get this open mic going? I mentioned being careful around the art. The artist's name is Donald Haynes. The show is called The Elusive Scent. And I believe that'll be up until about the 25th, November 25th. 2 bathrooms free to use, one at the back of this room and one in the bar. You can go at any time, get food and drinks from the bar and bring them over. There's no alcoholic drinks around the front of the building. And I think that's it. Am I forgetting anything that you can think of? I'm looking at Tiffany because she knows everything.
Did you mention the happy hour?
Yeah, we don't have the happy hour chalkboard tonight, but they are extending the happy hour for the rest of the evening. So talk to the lovely ladies next door about what's happening with the happy hour. And I thank Leah Jackson, who is the owner and proprietor, and there she is. I love you, Leah Jackson. Thank you for opening this space to us once a month. And you'll also be excited to know that our featured reader tonight, Julene Weaver, who came down from Seattle, will be teaching a workshop tomorrow night here in the gallery. So we'll have more to say about that later. But you know, one of the things that's just so great about Leah is that she's provided a space for me to bring poets and bring interesting poetry events to Vancouver for at least a decade, probably more at this point. So I just love her to death and so grateful to her for giving us the space to do this in. It's a cool space, don't you think? Yeah. Okay, and so to begin, we are going to hear from Tanya Spalding. Welcome her to the mic. Please.
All right.
There's empty seats up here.
Some hand movements. So can we move this out a little bit?
Just most of it's close to you.
Denial, friend or foe? Denial isn't only a river in Africa. It's one of my preferred coping mechanisms. Friend or foe? The answer isn't yes or no. As often the case in human dilemmas, it's not either or, but an interdigitation of both. Anne. How is denial my friend and foe? It pushes me forward and holds me back. Holds me back. It keeps me grounded. Grounded. And on the right track. Right track. It shrouds reality and reveals potential. In unseen realms that's seen inconsequential. It transports me into never-ending faith and hope. It precludes me from seeing the broader scope. It covers hidden desires and buried treasure, while protecting me from the pain of temporal pleasure. It transforms my perspective, be it relative or objective. So what if I learned from my friend and foe? We create reality in order to cope. My goal is to balance objectivity and hope.
Yeah, nice.
One more. Reflections and projections. Who do you say that I am? What do you see? When I walked in the door, you stopped and you looked at me. Did you notice my smile? Do you see my heart? Do you see the Creator's unfinished masterpiece, or only the broken parts? As I take more steps, you notice my limp and crooked frame. You turn away. Oh, damaged goods, I hear you say. Too bad she's broken. I'll be on my way. You claim to be loving and kind, non-judgmental, having an open mind. Your mind is open, but only to your kind. People who reflect the image you work hard to project. You don't want mirrors reminding you that you're flawed and weak and broken too. You say to yourself, whispering with pride, my weaknesses are well hidden deep on the inside. No one knows, no one sees my masked insecurities. Do you prefer illusions and projections? Crumbling facades, empty mirages of perfection? Don't you know the artist uses broken vessels? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. He sees beyond our weaknesses to the potential of our hearts.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And next, what I forgot was to mention Scott. So this is Scott Yeager. Scott has kindly donated this fancy mic stand that we have, and also offered to help people who might be a little nervous or having trouble being heard. He will, as gently as possible, jostle things until we can hear you just a little bit better. And I thank you for performing that service to the poetry community, sir. Okay, and now please welcome Alvaro Tarago.
I have 2 poems. They are work in process. The first one is called In a Portland Rainy Day. What is a dream squeezed between 2 souls, dressed in lavender stalks and petals of perfume rose, softer than the wind in a Portland rainy day? I wandered crowded streets and I felt alone when the warmth of your hand was not touching my own. The sound of passing trains remind me of our temporality in this world. And when you came to me and we sealed our feelings in an endless and furious hug, I left behind me empty fields of sand and stone, and fell into a spring of dreaming thoughts, merely this and nothing more. That's it. The next one is not really a love poem, but it's called Armies of Love. A dagger in the darkness, a soul drowning on the murky water, a thunder in the middle of silence, a scream pleading for death. Can you listen to the mockingbird and remember that once there was a summer, and the bodies of the other colored the surface of the fields of death? Can you recall the yelling, broken dreams and sirens, a mother smeared in the blood of her dying son? Hallelujah, hallelujah, said the priest at the top of his lungs. Hallelujah, here come the endless armies to plant the seeds of love.
Thank you. Now, please welcome back someone who's been coming since the very beginning of this November 2004, Lori Loringer.
What do you think? Ah, there you go. All right. I am short, it's true.
Now we can see you.
Well, we should put it back up.
No.
All right. Following along with the rain theme, I wrote this one actually in the middle of September. It's called A New Appreciation for Rain. Side note, I live up in Skamania County, where a lot of things were on fire around that time. So I cried when the rains came, not because it heralds an unending sequence of dark days, gray, cold, and soggy, not because it will split my ripening tomatoes and rot the tiny melons still dreaming of being. Ricocheting from snow-apocalyptic winter to summer so dry it burns itself up, jumping from the ice into the fire, I've come to appreciate rain's reasonableness, not giving in to either extreme, but drizzling on at a patient 60 degrees, washing everything, giving all of it a nice drink. Fall rain, spring rain, it's very dependable. It wanes and waxes, unwaveringly cool and wet. For now, I won't think of mudslides, of flooding, erosion, of the endless gray days where I'd kill for a glimpse of the sun. I won't let my mind linger over the molding of summer's last berries. I'll just stand in the downpour, my face upturned, while my tears become one with the rain. I usually sort of dread it, but I was really happy to see it this year, really and truly. All right, this is called Sunfall. The sun's falling down, not setting, but falling, like it can't wait for this day to be over. Blazing orange and round, it drops lower every second and lower still, like there's no bottom to down. There's just more and more until there's nothing left to see. The sun is falling, leaving an aura of red and gold, the colors fading, dulling, dissipating, disappearing like the sun, when it falls all the way down.
I'm really glad that you and your family were not hurt in that fire. I just want to say that.
House is still there.
I'm glad the house is still there too. They have a pretty cool house. It's a magical place, actually. Okay, please say hello to Christine Lamb White.
everybody. Is that better? Good, I'm short. First, a little bit of the understory of Todd Michael. This was my baby boy born in 1969, and he lived a day. And I was a young mother, and at the time, in the 60s, the hospitals only knew to sweep pain under the carpet and give the mother pills. So my family, this was such a tragic event for me and my family that we really didn't have time or knowledge to really deal with it. And so in 1988, I went and got the medical records from the hospital, which were on an old fish and hard to see. And the first question they asked me is, "Are you going to sue?" And I said, "No, I'd just like to know what happened to my child and me." So I put them in a box, but still wasn't ready. And 2 weeks ago, I found them, and I read all the records. And so that prompted me to call the mortuary that took care of him, and they were so gracious to me about offering a service today where my family and I can be present at no cost. And he set up a legacy book for my son, so he's not a secret anymore. So this poem is called "I'm Holding You in My Heart." I'm holding you in my heart, the place you were close by from the start. In a dream, I'm sitting next to your grown young man's body. I whisper your name, my sweet Toddy. How privileged I am for your birth, a progression uncovering new worth. Your presence on earth helped those others, all the babies that died and their mothers. Wounded healer you helped me to be, heart awakened, ears opened, eyes finally see. A new grief of an old loss, once a heavy albatross. Now a grateful lightness helps me be free. Out in the open, no more secrets for me. In capital letters, Todd Michael's legacy. They lit a candle and set up your online book of the memories and stories and turns our lives took. No more darkness, no hiding. This detective mother unfolds. Puzzle pieces gently sliding into place with courage and bold. The history of his story is present and more. The bonding I fondly bring forward rewards. Of reunion and communion, of words holy and true. Mother and son have grown up. I can't stop looking at you. This poem will go on until the end of time, and perhaps even one day more. Thank God for bringing me and you, spirits touched, and our purposes soared.
Thank you for sharing that with us here. I really appreciate it. That's all right. That's a good spot to do it. There are some open chairs too, if you're looking for a place to sit for the open mic. Hey, help these folks out. If you have an empty seat next to you, wave your hand so they know where to go. Thank you. So our next reader is somebody so glad he's become a part of our Ghost Town community. He's really brought an energy that I think is great to the open mic. And I went to a performance that he did recently at High End Marketplace, which is, in my opinion, is the greatest recreational marijuana establishment in Vancouver. Dane did a performance there of his hip-hop lyrics and his piano playing, which is very good. And I wasn't able to be there for the entire afternoon, but while I was there, I was inspired to write some things, so I thought that to honor him and what I saw that day, I would introduce him by reading this poem that I wrote. And then the mic is going to have to go up a little bit after I do this for him. It's called Total Stranger Love for Dane and Justice. Brooklyn in the house and in my heart. Home is where you're welcomed, treated right, where the reception is so warm it ain't even possible to stay uptight. Lean back, feel it, let it move on through you, won't do you no harm. Upon meeting justice, I am reminded of the power of words to manifest reality. Language energy with mystic properties, sure as fuck could use a little more justice around here. Sharp rockin' gray cotton security, settled atop a sweatin' dome, rhythm roam, rock and swing, till you can't help but feel everything acutely. Step forward, just be. This one's a little more sativa leaning. Catch my meaning? Took a chance on spirit gleaning, integrity test, nothing but being. An everyday occurrence, pruning, greening, souls keening, hesitant, careening toward the past, proper leaning. There beneath your feet all along, just waiting for you to make that connection, make the scene to be seen, teach yourself and others how to be, how to set yourself free. Dane Deloitte.
Thank you.
Raise it up. I figured between you and Scott, you get hands up.
We're good. Thank you for the intro. That's pressure after an intro like that. Thank you. Hi, I'm Dane. I got a couple pieces for you. I try to make songs to cut through the rhetoric. The art does it sometimes, but a lot of times you need to listen to something. The first piece is called Bombs Bursting in Air, because people ask me, what's your style like? What is it that you do and how do you do it? And I think this best explains how I'm off-brand in the style wars of a military complex. So, they ask you, what's your style like? Well, it's like the magnesium gas flashpoint, or the last hit of the last joint, and it's lasting a bit. The swag king, mojo juice producer, blasting, everlasting. I was never ho-hum. Even in my doldrums, my temperature drops down to 451. Not what the page could hold, hands that could not console or fold into fists for with which to take gold. It's the fire stick you can't predict or hold. It's the hot grip, God's gift, knowing that cooking that crystal meth will leave you in a hospice. I'm the flashpoint when you enter into the better light. You better set it right before there's no air there. The bombs bursting in air. It's the freedom of let it be, with street pedigree. No fatality without causality, slippage. The last chance, last out, no wild pitches. Get on your big boy pants and pull up your britches, because there's potholes on the road to the riches. And be ready to take it, because ain't nobody gonna give it up. Abruptly pigeonholed, bills and seeds unfold, and multiply Papa's stressing. He has difficulty digesting some of life's lessons. Taught me how to count my blessings and stay effervescent. Now I flow like a king, but get treated like a peasant. And that's not pleasant. But words are my ammunition. The mic is my weapon. I'm not here to grovel, and I'm not here to write a novel. I'm like the moonshine next to the bottle where the flame is. That's how I came is. That's just how Dane is. And why I'm ghetto famous. this is a song. I wrote the music, but I never did it with the words. It's called Grits and Bacon. Grits and bacon, eggs on the side. A spot of tea helps you taste how we are alive. Just for the record, your raspberry creams makes me forget of all those impertinent things. See, it's not just breakfast, but conversation. Some say that sin is just part of sensation. Who do you comfort and how do you serve? French toasted nutmeg or vanilla extracted serve? No, just grits and bacon, just like before. Back to the breakfast, the bedroom, the boudoir, the door. Just grits and bacon, eggs on the side. Thank you, ma'am, for showing how we are alive. This last piece is it's an advertisement piece. I have black ballers, t-shirts, hoodies available. It's a conversation, please. Please, if you want them, need them, or the conversation, come talk to me. It's called haberdashery. Look at what you draped in. Look at what you draped in. You ain't got haberdashery. Look at what you draped in. You ain't got haberdashery. Look at what you draped in. Skin fitting, foreign penny, Annie pension. What you ain't got to mention. You was lacking uber fashion. Rehashing the cloth-tastrophe. Back to, oh wait, hold up, hold. Slow down. Let's meet on common ground. All right? Yeah, all right. Let's take it old school. Parachute pants, black Kangol, 8th grade breakdancing at talent show. Pinstripe leaves with the half shirt tees. Names on the back, yep, I designed these. Flat top faded ladies in the late 80s, making that gravy and cheese in they dungarees. They had a shape that made me want to make babies. Please, just press stop rewind, like sand through the hourglass time. But back to the day, the grind for the pay menial. Since bicentennial, ETBT spider stole your peenie though. He was looking for A1 or maybe a steakum waiting at your crib where you brought home the bacon wrapped in the scrimpsin, then raise the X to the nth. Lay your head down with no stress in the tent. You could use the same wheel, no need to reinvent. Hey, dry skin, patchy, chronic, steam, bionic, medically cleared for the green, no comment. Breathe often. Gotta get a clear conscience. Effing with that green monster, paper chasing, fiend hunger, fear monger, clean but somber, plus sober, straight out the door, straight out the shower, smelled like manure. Cause he's the ace holder, DNA's in the folder, never seen this before, so hold it over. Cause the last ship left shore and hijacked a cargo from Bora Bora. Meet you at Pier 44. It'll be in the boxes with the umbilical cords. Baby need a lotion, aloe vera, coconut for the hair. Put it back over there, hey. I went from being clashy, I went from being ashy to having mad haberdashery.
High-end baby in the house. Let's give it up for Ryan. Is that okay that I call him high-end baby? It's okay. All right. I should have asked first, maybe. But, wave your hand again if you have an empty seat next to you. We got some people that might want to sit down. Okay. Don't be shy. Come on up if you need a seat. Okay, so we have a few more before we get to our featured reader, and our next reader tonight is going to be Kelsey Reeves. Come on up, Kelsey.
All right, I've got a few poems here tonight. The first one's called Subside. Listen, there is snow in the mountains and rain in the valleys. You can hear it from here, everything rolling over into sleep. It all wets down. I pace the room like an atom in an atom bomb, but really, it's all gone a little mossy. The way a gun looks in the forest 100 years after. This one's called View. The sun, molten, dripping up from the river, spilling everywhere. Or, more precisely, the world rolling in the warm shallows of space perpetually, gracelessly. My favorite line of poetry deals with sun on the water. Ah, light, moving westward down the Mississippi. Light as boats capsizing, the endless glint of it. But rereading the line is different, vertical, not westward, and the boat's another poem entirely. And isn't that always the case? Shot through with gold, fog scraping the bark of the evergreens, is also sun on the water if I choose it to be. And I have misunderstood every last moment on this planet, but it is still beautiful, whirling, whirling out into the glittering dark. All right, this last one's called Alter. It's kind of a theme of transformation and coming of age, that kind of nonsense, you know. I fell into a deep forest. My femur put forth roots. I did not say, "Oh Lord, take me from here," like Rebecca. This is another barrenness. My mouth remained resolutely closed. The moss grew over me, in me. Oh Lord, I am scared. Mother is reading, brows at half-mast. In the kitchen, father organizes sardines on crackers. Home means this soft quietude. 5,600 miles away, I am watching a donkey. It stumbles about on 3 legs, the fourth loosely curled like a child's fist. There are wild dogs in the fields beyond, waiting. I am a dog, waiting. The wind settles down into the moor. The purple heather lowers its head, then forgets. It seems natural, as if the wind was always there. My neck bent, I am lost in this. Wandering, my hands abandon their shape. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey. Okay, our next reader is a poet, a photographer, a business person, and a friend, and the only person in town I know for sure is more overextended than I am. Morgan Hutchinson.
I don't know about that, Chris. I mean, this competition it's like, we're like
You guys are busy.
head to
We
head.
got it maybe neck and neck.
Neck and neck, head to head, what the fuck, I don't know. Yeah, so today I did but thank you. You always say something about high end, and you know what, I never plug the shop when I'm up here because you always do. But we do have the highest quality marijuana over there on 19th and Broadway, and our lovely Brianna right there, and not the high-end baby. High-end baby's not going to be in the shop at the time, but high-end baby's always there. He stops by. Orion, I love you. And hi, it's nice to see you. I'm so happy you're here. So today I did a really fun thing. I reached out to 5 friends and I told them to give me one word because I had something brewing, but I needed a little bit of something to get me going. So I reached out, they gave me words, and then I wrote this at about 5 p.m. The words, which I will say thank you to Chelsea, Patrick, Bolin, Olin, Kylan, and who else? Is that 5? Patrick, Bolin, Olin, Chelsea, and Kylan. Yeah, thank you for the words, and those words are the title of this poem, which is primordial proximity, disintegrating catatonic trust. So that's what I was given. This is what came out just a couple hours ago. I hate reading from my phone too, but I'm going to do it. As primordials, what is normal? Primarily placing a piece of paper above your neighbor, enough to savor the safe feeling one gets when they feel above another. A proven paradox, since we are familial selves in the greater scheme of eternity, both biologically and metaphysically, under one ornamental umbrella, a multifaceted collection of gems all made up of the same energetic materials. Meanwhile, in reality, ... proximity to another is an icy, distant wasteland of precious metals formed instead into shiny screens, leaning into the globe while getting sucked out of ourselves, grasping for headlines as snacks, attention like animals, but it's safer inside the box. That padded rectangular forum that becomes us. Identities as influential, values as vapor. These circuits are disintegrating slowly, alarmingly comfortable with the disconnect, numb to the time waste. We are all catatonic, shoulder muscles folded over, blue light exposure on the upward, real hand holding on the downward. But we know we need that human touch. Meditation can only do so much. It's the perception and practice of theory meets action that matters. The hourglass reveals this addiction, eases the brain function back into bonding, oxygenates the neurons, strokes the transmitters back into conversations, and has the ability to transport you back into the real world. Sitting on the couch, legs intertwined with your lover, discussing morality, the human condition, and music. Trust in the illusion of safety. Buy into societal norms because everyone else does. Because it's easy. Because we know nothing else. Because we need to build it ourselves. Because I want to believe in it. Because I like the warmth. But there's no fun in destiny. No adventure in force-fed acceptance. No exercise in straight lines. And this, my friends, is why I'm so open to the therapeutic value of hallucinogens. Thank you. Just to be honest. Also, there's a postscript to this poem. A friend of mine, actually my boyfriend here, Patrick Miller, he's in the audience here. He gave me the 6th word that I couldn't use, but I wanted to include it as a postscript, and that word, just to say it on the mic, is bunghole. Thank you.
Making Vancouver safe for bungholes since 2004. Thank you. People give me so many. What some people don't know is that for years, all we had was the slogan, all ages and uncensored, which it has been from the beginning. We didn't have Ghost Town right away because it took a few years for me to try to, like the asshole New Yorker that I am, rebrand the town that I moved to as Ghost Town, right? So then, and I thought that sounded like a pretty cool thing. But eventually the Ghost Town thing became like a badge of honor to acknowledge that Portland has an attitude about us, right? So it's about holding your head high and saying the stuff that's happening on this side of the river is just as good as the stuff on the other side. We know what you think about us. Come over sometime and we'll show you what's happening here in Vancouver, you know? So don't take it too hard when you think about how Ghost Town started. Okay, so we're gonna, I always like to give our feature a heads up. We're gonna hear from one more open mic person and then our featured reader, then a little break. And our final open mic reader for the first half will be Alea Mays. Come on up, Alea.
Hi, I only have one poem tonight, and it's the second part of a 2-part poem, but I'm not gonna read the first one right now.
All right.
So, This is called I Don't Like Thinking of You, Part 2.
How many parts are there?
Only 2,
Just
for
2,
now.
okay.
For now.
Keep working on it. I bet you could come up with a couple more.
Oh, I better. During band camp, I was stung by a wasp, right below the knee, and trust me, I was not happy. I don't think the wasp was either. The welt swelled up, and for about a week, I couldn't stand up without being in pain. The poison slowly seeped into my system, the itching was incessant, and there was nothing for me to do. But I would take that torture 1,000 times over thinking of you. Because eventually, that pain will end. It will fade away until I've forgotten completely about it. You slowly seep into my system as my thoughts stray, and day to day I weep, trying to devise a system to keep you at bay. You're her bay. You know, bay is an acronym for before anyone else. I am an acrobat tumbling over thoughts of you before I am and when I am with anyone else. You are a part of me as much as my skin that gets stung and my smile that has hung with sadness for far too long, I know. Because I think people are starting to catch on. And I'm not trying to convince you of this to steal yours, but you've stolen so much from me, yet here I am still somehow wishing for your company. Her laugh accompanies your life, and it's such great strife to the girl you've betrayed. You wield your knife so elegantly, wielding the worst results for the circus around you. Oh, ringmaster, what should we do? Sit around and wait for you to master the game of love and pick a woman to wear your ring. Is this ringing true? If not, please pick up your phone and I will call out your bullshit excuses. Excuse me, Miss Pity Party. Well, you're partly true. I've been trying to find it in myself to pity you, but the mind rarely does what we wish it to do now, doesn't it? So I find myself still sitting around and waiting for you to come to your senses, and since the idiocy of your actions, you've broken my friends up into factions, and fractions of myself are splitting off, splintering away, as you sway from side to side, the pendulum of your mind swinging back and forth from day to day, choosing whether or not to find your way back to the real world, to the real consequences, to the problems you didn't mean to build fences around, but still stay as you pride yourself in the ability to hide yourself, taking in your stride the bright-eyed wonder of the world, and the whirl of the wind still goes by without a single thought of goodbye. You bide your time waiting for me to forget. Like the sting of a bee, you are happily going along creating wreckage for me and turning around to watch my scattering for a place of rest, to see her resting upon your chest. Opening back up that chest, I try to keep locked and hidden so I won't be ridden with breathlessness, so I won't let my thoughts be shown and my world to be blown up and away. Keep your guard up and pray that your world doesn't become the gray of mine. Mime out your perfect world without my calling you mine. See how the minds bubble up onto the surface. See how you step out and watch as the world crumbles. See how it's all just a facade, a fake barrier to bury her emotions and sadness beneath layers of cake and cookies and sugar and spice and everything nice. Wouldn't that be nice? Instead of this never-ending cycle of hate. And I know it's too late to salvage this wreck, but please do pick up the phone before this ship sails away. So maybe I can wring out my emotions while listening to the ringtone and tone down the motions of my mind. I hope you find what you wanted. I wish I wasn't still haunted, but that's just what love does, and I see that now. Which is why I still cry and try to not think of you.
Good job.